When was the last time you looked in the mirror and felt proud of what you saw? When was the last time you looked at yourself and felt gratitude for who you are, for the choices you've made, and for everything you've already achieved, despite the challenges life has thrown your way? Or was the last time you looked in the mirror filled with shame, guilt, or even deep frustration for not having achieved what you imagined? Maybe you felt disappointed, thinking that time passed you by and the opportunities were lost. I know exactly how that feels. I've been there. I've looked at myself in the mirror, and instead of seeing someone who felt fulfilled, at peace with themselves, I saw a person who felt guilty for not having done more, for not being enough. The feeling of failure took over me, as if every mistake I made in the past was preventing me from becoming the person I always dreamed of being. I asked myself every day, why couldn't I be who I wanted to be? Why am I not what I should be? And that feeling of frustration only grew stronger, paralyzing me, keeping me stuck in a cycle of constant self-criticism. I know you've felt this way too. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I'm not good enough? Have you ever felt the weight of guilt for not meeting your own expectations or the expectations of others? And shame, that deep shame of believing your past mistakes define who you are, that what you've done or failed to do will follow you forever. I know how it feels, and I know how real this emotion is. But I want to tell you something. This emotion doesn't need to define your life. Imagine what your life would look like if, instead of looking in the mirror and feeling ashamed or frustrated, you started seeing someone worthy of love, success, and happiness, just as you are right now. Self-love doesn't come from being perfect size-wise, but from accepting that you are enough, even with all your imperfections. I know it seems hard to believe, especially when feelings of disappointment and guilt consume us. But let me tell you, it was only when I began to free myself from those feelings, when I stopped judging myself, comparing myself to others, and believing the lies of shame, that my life really began to change. It was when I decided to look at myself with compassion instead of criticism that the doors began to open. I want to ask you something now. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and felt proud of who you are? When was the last time you looked at yourself and felt grateful for the person you are becoming, regardless of what has happened in the past? Think about it. When was the last time you looked at yourself and thought, I am enough, I am worthy of love and success? I know it's difficult to leave behind those feelings of guilt, shame, and regret, but don't let them define your future. What happened until now does not define who you will become. Change starts the moment you decide to stop punishing yourself and start loving yourself. So, I invite you to reflect. What do you need to let go of? What are the feelings of shame and guilt you've been carrying for so long that now it's time to release? Comment below and share with me. True transformation begins with the choice to love yourself, to accept yourself exactly as you are. And this is the first step toward a lighter, happier, and more fulfilling future. We're in this journey of healing and self-discovery together. Let's begin now with the decision to free ourselves from shame, guilt, and frustration, and allow ourselves to live the life we truly deserve. Have you ever felt like your past is constantly chasing you? Like no matter how hard you try to move forward, it always feels like you're dragging the weight of everything that went wrong. Maybe you carry the wounds of old mistakes, lost opportunities, or even things that were done to you by others. But here's the question. What if your past doesn't define who you are today? What if the chains that bind you can be broken once and for all? I know what it feels like to be trapped by the past, to constantly relive the mistakes, the regrets, the times you felt small or insignificant. For years, I felt like a prisoner to my own history. Every time I thought about where I had been, I couldn't see a way out. It was as if the mistakes of my past were my identity, like I couldn't outrun them. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe you're still carrying the weight of the past on your shoulders, and it feels like it's holding you back from achieving your dreams. Have you ever felt like you weren't good enough because of what happened in your past? Have you let your mistakes convince you that you'll never be able to move beyond them? But here's the truth. Your past does not have to control your future. The key to breaking free from this cycle of pain, regret, and self-doubt is in your hands. The first step to freedom is realizing that the past is behind you. It's over. Louise Hay teaches us that the first step in healing is to release the hold that the past has on us. When we let go of our past wounds and the shame that comes with them, we make room for something much greater, our future. But the past will only keep you chained if you continue to carry it around with you. It's time to set yourself free. This doesn't mean forgetting or pretending that your past never happened. It means making the conscious decision to stop letting it dictate your present and your future. Forgiving yourself, letting go of the shame and guilt, is the key to healing. Once you choose to forgive and release the past, you take back control of your life. Now, let me ask you something. What part of your past are you still holding on to that is keeping you from moving forward? Is there a decision, a mistake, a moment of shame that you just can't seem to let go of? It's time to ask yourself, what are you afraid to release? Think about the things you've been holding on to for far too long. What would your life look like if you let go of the past today? What if you allowed yourself to be free from the weight of everything that happened before? It's time to make that choice, to let go and embrace the future with an open heart. Free from the chains of the past. You are not your past. You are who you choose to be today. So, I challenge you to take the first step. Decide today that your past will no longer define your future. Start by acknowledging the power you have to change, to forgive, and to move forward. You are worthy of all the love, success, and happiness that is waiting for you. How many times have you told yourself you can't move forward because of something someone else did to you? Perhaps you've been hurt, deeply betrayed, abandoned, or made to feel less than. And now, every time you try to move forward, that pain resurfaces, pulling you back into the past. It's like a constant reminder that you're not free. But what if I told you that forgiveness is the key to your freedom? Forgiveness is not something we do for others. It's something we do for ourselves. Let me be clear. Forgiving someone doesn't mean what they did was okay. It doesn't mean that the hurt they caused you wasn't real. It simply means that you are choosing not to let their actions control your happiness, your peace, or your future. I used to think that holding on to my anger, to my resentment, was somehow keeping me in control. But in reality, it was only keeping me stuck. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. I was the one who was suffering, and all the while, the person who hurt me had moved on. They weren't thinking about me. They weren't affected by my resentment, but I was letting it dictate my every thought, every action, every day. Maybe you're holding on to a grudge. Maybe you've been wronged in the past, and you believe that the only way to protect yourself is to keep that anger alive. Maybe you think that by not forgiving, you're somehow punishing the other person, but the only person you're punishing is yourself. Forgiveness is the bridge to peace, and it starts with you. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean excusing bad behavior or opening yourself up to be hurt again. It means releasing the emotional hold that the hurt has on you. It means freeing yourself from the chains that the past has placed on your heart and mind. Forgiving doesn't mean that you condone the wrongs that were done to you, but that you choose not to allow them to control your present and your future. I know it's hard. I know that when someone has hurt us, we feel like we've lost control, like forgiving them will somehow make us weak. But in reality, forgiving is one of the most powerful things you can do. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about your peace, your growth, and your healing. Think about it for a moment. How much energy are you wasting by holding on to anger or resentment? How much of your life are you letting the past dictate? And how much peace would you experience if you chose to forgive and move on? The decision to forgive is not easy, but it is life-changing. When you forgive, you take back your power. You stop letting the past control you, and you give yourself permission to move forward, to heal, and to live in peace. So, I challenge you. What do you need to forgive today? Who do you need to forgive? And more importantly, can you forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made? The power to heal, to move forward, to experience true freedom lies in your hands. How often do you find yourself stuck in the past, wishing things had turned out differently? Or maybe you're constantly anxious about the future, thinking about all the what-ifs and fearing what's to come. But here's the harsh truth. The past is gone and the future hasn't happened yet. All we truly have is the present moment. I used to live in a constant state of either regret or fear. I would ruminate on all the things I should have done differently, beating myself up over past mistakes. And on the other hand, I would worry about everything that could go wrong in the future. I was never truly present. My mind was always either trapped in the past or consumed by the future, but I was never really living in the now. Does this sound familiar? Do you find yourself replaying past events over and over in your mind, wishing you could change them? Or are you constantly worrying about what's next, stressing about the unknown? It's exhausting, isn't it? The thing is, while we can't change the past and we can't predict the future, we do have control over the present. The present is where the power lies. Right here, right now. You have the ability to choose how you want to feel, what you want to focus on, and how you want to live. Louise Hay teaches us the importance of being mindful of the present. When we let go of the past and stop worrying about the future, we can truly embrace the present moment. Being present is not just about physically being somewhere. It's about mentally and emotionally being there too. It's about fully experiencing life, feeling every emotion, and connecting with what's happening right now. You see, when we're present, we open ourselves up to joy, peace, and possibility. We stop wasting energy on things that don't matter, and we start living our lives with intention. The more we practice being present, the more we start to realize how much beauty, love, and opportunity exists all around us right now. So let me ask you this. How much time have you spent today truly living in the present? How much of your energy is being consumed by past regrets or future fears? What would your life look like if you made a conscious effort to fully embrace the present moment? The truth is, the moment you start living in the present is the moment you start to live with purpose. When you let go of what's behind you and stop fearing what's ahead, you open yourself up to all the beauty and peace that's available to you in this moment. And here's something I want you to really think about. What can you do today, right now, to be more present in your life? Maybe it's taking a few minutes to just breathe, to ground yourself, to focus on what's happening around you. Maybe it's letting go of the things you've been holding on to from the past. Or maybe it's choosing not to worry about the future and trusting that everything will unfold as it should. The present is your opportunity to create the life you want. Stop letting the past or future steal your happiness. Start choosing to live fully in the now. Do you ever catch yourself telling the same old story over and over again? A story that goes something like this. I'm not good enough. I'll never be successful. I've made too many mistakes to ever be happy. The stories we tell ourselves shape our reality. And what's worse, we tend to believe them, even when they aren't true. For most of my life, I told myself a story of limitation. I believed that because I made mistakes in the past, I wasn't deserving of happiness. I thought that if I didn't meet society's expectations, I was somehow failing. And so, I lived in a world of self-doubt, constantly questioning my worth and my abilities. But one day, I realized something. I was the author of my own story. I had been allowing the past, my mistakes, and my fears to write my narrative. And by doing so, I had been living a story of scarcity and self-judgment. But I didn't have to keep telling that story. You don't have to keep telling yourself a story of limitation either. The beauty of life is that we can rewrite our own narrative at any time, the moment you change the story you tell yourself. You change the way you see the world, and more importantly, the way the world sees you. So, Sme, let me ask you this. What story are you telling yourself right now? Is it a story of empowerment and possibility, or is it a story of defeat and self-doubt? I challenge you to take a hard look at the narrative you've been carrying around. Is it helping you grow, or is it holding you back? When I started to realize that I could choose a new story, everything changed. I began to tell myself a new story, one where I was deserving of love, happiness, and success. A story where I was not defined by my past mistakes, but empowered by my ability to learn from them and move forward. A story where I was not a victim of circumstances, but a creator of my own life. It's not easy to change the story you've been telling yourself. It takes time, patience, and commitment, but it's worth it. The more I rewrote my story, the more I began to see myself in a different light. I started believing in my potential and trusting that I could achieve anything I set my mind to. And slowly, the world around me started to reflect that belief back to me. Now, I want you to think about your own story. What would happen if you chose to tell yourself a different story today? What if, instead of focusing on your failures, you started focusing on your strengths? What if, instead of feeling sorry for yourself, you chose to empower yourself? What if, instead of thinking that you're not good enough, you started believing that you are more than enough? The stories we tell ourselves are powerful. They shape our beliefs, our actions, and ultimately, our future. And when we rewrite those stories, we take back our power. We get to decide who we are and who we want to become. So, take a moment and think. What story have you been telling yourself for too long? And what story would you like to start telling from now on? It's time to take control and create a narrative that empowers you. How many times have you doubted your own potential? How many opportunities have you missed because you didn't believe in yourself enough to take action? What if I told you that everything you've ever wanted, success, love, happiness, is within your reach, and the only thing standing in your way is you? For most of my life, I didn't believe in my own power. I thought I wasn't smart enough, talented enough, or worthy enough to achieve the things I wanted. I allowed my fears, my insecurities, and my doubts to control my actions. And as a result, I played small. I settled for less than what I deserved simply because I didn't. Believed that I was capable of more. But here's the truth I've learned. Your power comes from within you. It's not about waiting for the right time or the right circumstances. It's about realizing that everything you need to succeed is already inside you. You have the strength, the wisdom, and the ability to create the life you've always dreamed of. So, what's holding you back? Why aren't you stepping into your power? The answer is simple: fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. But here's the catch. Fear is just an illusion. Fear is a story we tell ourselves to keep us stuck in our comfort zone. It's a story we believe, but it's not the truth. I want you to think for a moment. What would you do if you had no fear? What would you attempt? What would you create? What would you achieve if you knew, without a doubt, that you were capable of anything? The truth is, you can do anything you set your mind to. But the first step is realizing your own power and making the choice to believe in it. For so long, I let my fear control me. But once I decided to face it head on, everything changed. I stopped seeing fear as an obstacle, and I started seeing it as a sign that I was on the right path. Fear only shows up when we're about to step outside our comfort zone. And when we push through that fear, we unlock new levels of growth, success, and happiness. Here's the truth. The only limits you have are the ones you place on yourself. You are capable of more than you know, but you have to believe in your own power first. When you decide to step into your power, the world will start to shift in your favor. So I ask you, what would you do if you truly believed in your power? What is that one thing you've been afraid to do, but deep down, you know it's the next step toward your dream life? It's time to stop letting fear control your destiny. You have the power to create the life you want. It's time to claim that power. How often have you held back from pursuing something you truly wanted because of fear? Maybe it's fear of failure, fear of judgment, or simply fear of the unknown. We've all been there, frozen, unsure, paralyzed by the uncertainty of taking that first step. But I'm here to tell you that the first step is the hardest, and once you take it, you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner. I remember a time when I was at a crossroads. I had dreams, big dreams, but I was terrified of taking the first step. What if I failed? What if people laughed at me? What if I made the wrong decision? The fear of the unknown kept me stuck in a comfortable place of inaction. And in that comfort, I wasn't growing, I wasn't evolving, and I wasn't living the life I truly desired. Does this sound familiar? Are you stuck in a cycle of overthinking, endlessly planning but never taking action? Are you afraid of what might happen if you move forward? The truth is, you'll never have all the answers, and you'll never feel 100% ready. But waiting for the perfect moment will only keep you in the same place. The key to success, to personal transformation, is to take that first step, no matter how small. It's the courage to act in the face of fear that sets the successful apart from the stagnant. When I finally took that first step, everything began to shift. I realized that the only way to learn, to grow, to succeed was to take action. I know it's scary. I know it's intimidating. But that first step is what separates the dreamers from the doers. And you, right now, have the power to take that step. The fear won't disappear, but you can choose to act anyway. You can choose to move forward even when you don't have all the answers, knowing that every step you take brings you closer to the life you want. Let me ask you, what have you been avoiding because of fear? What's the one thing that keeps you up at night that you've been too afraid to do? What would happen if you decided right now to take that first step? The longer you wait, the longer you remain stuck. The moment you decide to act, the world begins to open up to you. Opportunities that once seemed impossible become possible, and the path ahead becomes clearer with each step. I want you to promise me something. Take the first step today. It doesn't have to be a huge leap, but make the commitment to move forward, no matter how small the step may seem. Trust that the universe will meet you halfway once you take that courageous step. What would happen if you truly believed that you are worthy of everything you desire? What if you knew, deep down, that you deserve love, success, peace, and happiness, just as you are right now? For a long time, I struggled with self-doubt. I spent years believing I wasn't enough. I believed I needed to change, be someone else, be better, to receive love, respect, and success. I thought I had to prove my worth to the world and, more importantly, to myself. But the truth I found, the lesson that changed everything, is this. You are worthy simply because you exist. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone, not even yourself. Your worth is inherent. It is not based on what you do or don't do. It is not based on your past mistakes, your achievements, or other people's opinions. It's simply because you are. When I learned this, it was a revelation. It was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. I realized I had spent years seeking external validation, thinking it would fill the emptiness inside me. I believed that once I was successful enough, once I was loved enough, then I would be worthy. But that belief kept me stuck in a cycle of seeking approval from others, and I never truly felt fulfilled. I'm here to tell you that the love and acceptance you seek from others will only come when you first offer it to yourself. When you choose to accept yourself as you are, flaws, mistakes, imperfections, you begin to open the door to everything you've ever wanted. It's not easy, I know. We've been conditioned to seek perfection, to believe we need to be something or someone else to be accepted. But self-love is not about being perfect. It's about being real, being honest with yourself, and embracing all parts of you, even the parts that are difficult to love. Think for a moment. What would happen if you stopped seeking validation outside of yourself? What if you stopped trying to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be? What if you started accepting yourself right now exactly as you are? Imagine the freedom in that. Imagine how much lighter you would feel. The journey to self-love is lifelong, but it starts with one simple decision. Choose yourself. Choose to be kind to yourself, to forgive yourself, and to love yourself despite all your flaws and mistakes. When you do this, you create space for growth, for healing, and for everything you desire to flow into your life. So I ask you, what would your life look like if you loved yourself unconditionally? What if, instead of constantly trying to be something different, you started celebrating who you are right now? Can you accept yourself fully as you are in this moment? This is where transformation begins. Self-love is the foundation of everything you will ever achieve, and it starts with a decision to love yourself now, exactly as you are. You are worthy of love, of success, of happiness, and everything your heart desires. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And remember, the power to create the life you want is already inside you. You are enough just as you are. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment below and share your reflections on self-love and how you can begin to accept yourself more fully. If you felt that this video touched something inside you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this message with someone you believe could benefit from it. And stay tuned, because the next video will help you even more on your journey of self-discovery and transformation.